Hey, Matthijs, how are you?
Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being on the Stargazer Brief. I know everyone knows who you are already, but give me some background. Like, why did you decide to start Altura? Because it's been around for a while. Like, what made you decide to start it, and where is it going right now?
Yeah, so it's actually quite a funny story how I got into the bit management space. So originally I was in hardware, and I always liked creating products, but the hardware thing didn't work out. So I decided to go into digital space, into software. I didn't really know what problem to solve, so I decided to go into consulting. What you do,
As one does.
exactly.
Yep.
So I was just working for a lot of different companies to see how we can innovate their digital space, to automate processes, to use data and processes. And eventually I was working for this big firm that was getting all of their revenue in by winning RFPs and tenders. And I never heard of the term bit management before that. So I was intrigued to find out more. And when speaking to, I just decided to talk to like 10 or 15 bit managers. And I found out that it is actually so important to a company. You always know these sales teams. I was in sales myself as well before. Sales teams are always very much on the forefront, right? They're the face of the company often. I already felt then that bit teams are a bit more in the background. And I also found it so interesting that not only they are responsible for some companies almost all of the revenue, but also that they needed to talk to all these other departments into an organization to do their job. So I was like, hey, there's actually this amazing wealth of data that they are capturing. But on the other hand, they are kind of like this hidden department shoved away under sales. So that dynamic I found very interesting, but also the opportunity of what could be done with digitization, automation, and data-driven approaches.
Of course, you're speaking to so many teams, so many bid teams, so many sales teams that need these automations and are not using them at the moment, obviously. What automations should people be using that they're not using right now?
Yeah, so I think, of course, AI is unlocking a lot of automation possibilities. And for me, bid management is all about information management. So basically, you want to go into that RFP pack, you want to go into your CRM, you want to go into the organization to kind of like structure all of this information that you need to turn it into, well, first of all, decide where you want to put your effort into. So I think we're unlocking a lot of automations that helps people do their work more efficiently. But I think that is not the big shift that needs to happen. I think automation is only a means to an end. I think for bid managers, and what I'm really passionate about is how can we and you said it already, like I talk to a lot of teams. I talk to bid managers, talk to bid writers, but I also talk to CFOs, commercial directors, CEOs, and their perspective of how they look at the bid management function is really interesting. And I think both leadership and bid managers both look at it quite the same way, as in they do see it as they are creating this revenue creating department. But oftentimes people don't see it as actually the wealth of data that's hidden in there. So, okay, what's possible now with AI, with a lot of tools out there? You can automate a lot of tasks. You can make service information more easily. I think a lot of people in bid management and proposal management are working in SharePoint. I think everybody finds it really hard to find information in SharePoint. So that's kind of like a challenge that everybody's having over the past decade.
If you're using SharePoint, what are you doing, really?
Yeah, it's like, but it's mandated, right? So everybody needs to use it, and then at the same time, it's kind of also blocking you to not only find the right information but actually using it. For me, kind of like the first act is, okay, can we get that information, service that right information more easily? That is one, analyzing documentation, analyzing databases, and secondly, it's the subject matter expert collaboration. And when you think of it, the collaboration with a subject matter expert, you're always asking them for input, right? You're always taking, you're never giving something back. And I think that is the shift that needs to happen when we are able to really find information easily and collaborate with the subject matter expert more easily by not just giving them the PDF and ask for the input. No, actually already provide an answer, provide some relevant information. that collaboration will go a lot more easily.
Yep.
But if you can go back to the person and say like, hey, I've done 10 bits over the past quarter, and actually for your job, for your main job that you're hired for, I have these 5 insights for you. And I think that transition is really interesting. So if you ask me, what are people not doing right now? I think, yeah, there's a lot of automations possible. We all see the tools out there. But it's more about like, how I'm gonna use it.
Hey, I'm interrupting you because I wanted to remind you that the Stargazy is more than just a fun podcast and a fun community where proposal people can go and talk to each other about what's working and what's not working. It's also a place where you can talk to proposal tech leaders and find the right proposal tech for you. And if you are in the midst of looking for a new proposal software, that is where you can go. You can shortlist them, read a little bit more about them on Stargazy so you don't get any sales from proposal tech salespeople. Instead, you can go look around, you can shortlist, you can get a demo directly from there. But just as fun is you can go directly to the community and ask people if they've used that proposal tech, what they think, if they like it, don't like it, what they love about it, what they don't love about it, so that we can help each other out, make sure that we're using the right technology for our use case and that we are making smart buying decisions going forward. All right, back to the episode.
Am I going to use it to find the right intelligence, and how I'm going to use my freed up time?
Okay, I get really excited about this. Just the data and how that can actually set you apart from other teams within your organization, because you're right. The bid and proposal teams have far more data than I think people ever think about and realize. And I just think we've been so busy, like RFP after RFP comes in, that it's almost impossible to sit down and then like look at that data really seriously. So this is like a topic in itself. But I'm wondering, is there a specific data that you feel like, proposal and bid leaders should be bringing up to their execs that they're not?
I think often one that is easy to begin with is in kind of your bid no bid decision. That is when you are actively looking at what is being asked, what are the risks in there, and also how does that match with our company, with our organization. And you kind of have and it's not only about the intelligence that you're giving in the beginning. You need to understand it, you need to get better at it, so you need to train that muscle. But it's also really much about consistently sharing information. I'm in touch with this guy who's building his own startup, and he's sending every week, he has this network of advisors. Every week he shares an update. So he shares an update of things that are going well, what he's working on, the challenges that he's having. And I think that is something the proposal and bid managers are often, they feel like they're in a supportive role. So they also don't take the stage that they deserve to have. So when you are working in analyzing a bid, when you're doing a bid no bid, you often see like, hey, this is actually interesting. Or I've seen this in the past 2 bids as well. Hey, I was talking to this, to one of our customers actually. It's like, oh, we've been growing a lot. It's like, oh, where does that growth come from? It's like, yeah, we now got this certification that allows us to go to a lot more opportunities. Or another ones that we were doing a lot of no bids because the projects were too big. And actually from the competitors that we saw in the smaller size bids, we reached out to them, and together with them, we can now go for the bigger bids. And this is all data from bid no bids, right? We cannot go into this project because we don't have ISO certification. We cannot go into this project because we don't have the resources to manage it. So if you can synthesize this information and proactively, maybe every week, just share it candidly to skip level to the commercial director and the CFO, then like, if it's a good read, people are like, wow, this is a bid manager is just sending me, and then you're kind of like transitioning. So it's not only as much about automating stuff or that you have crazy insights. It is just training that muscle and building that audience internally.
Yeah, I feel like proposal people, like if you manage a team or you're just like one person in like a whole organization, I almost feel like it's your job. Like that is what you should be doing. Like that you're the only person who's going to have that insight or be able to understand what those insights mean. And so it's almost like your job to bring that to your revenue leader, whether that's your CRO, your CMO, like whatever you go into. So yeah, to me, like that's your role. Like you should be doing that. And because like you were saying, you speak to so many CEOs, so many CROs, like, cause obviously you're selling a software. And so you're having these conversations behind closed doors with them. you're talking about RFPs, you're talking about their bid team. And so the ones that are saying, hey, I love my bid team, they're doing great. Why are they speaking about them that way? Like, what are those teams doing differently compared to the CROs or CEOs saying, oh, I don't really know about my bid team. I think they're a bit of a cost center. I'm not quite sure about them.
Looking back on those conversations is that it is also a bit about consistency and predictability, right? Because you have a revenue leader. So a revenue leader, you're responsible for consistency, consistent growth.
Yeah.
And as a financial leader, you're responsible for risk mitigation. So often when it's being seen as a cost center, you as probably the sales team get all of the audience of the leadership. And then it's like, yeah, okay, now we just need somebody to write it down. It's not being won in the proposal stage. It's being won because we talk to the prospect. So then you kind of like already have that feel of like, these are my people. So it's about likability and about consistency and being able like, okay, we're going into this space. We're not going to go for this opportunity because we only have, we're spending $1,000 on a proposal. If you all break it down, we want to spend our money here. If you can show how you're investing the money as a team by also counting your own hours and how that gives the biggest ROI, you are helping that revenue leader do their job more easily. So consistency, building that audience with the leader, revenue leader, and also communicating why specific decisions are being made. It always happens, I think, to bid managers that I need to do this bid because sales wants to, and that's a horrible position to be in.
In a lot of my conversations with individual bid managers, so I don't mean like bid team leaders or bid directors, I mean like individual bid managers. Usually if they don't have like their manager isn't a bid person at all, like they're either a sales leader of some sort or like sales operations leader, they often don't feel like they can go above that person and talk about, how important RFPs are. And so, of course, like the revenue leaders totally miss that information. And a lot of times the bid leader or the bid manager will think, I'm getting ignored. They don't understand how important this is, fair, which is fair. But what would you suggest that they do? Like, how can they kind of bridge that gap so they can show how important RFPs are, despite not really being in sort of a leadership position to do so?
Yeah, so what I always tell other people to do also in other positions outside of bid management, but people that want to position themselves within an organization is really, what is this person that I'm talking to? What are they interested in? And they're not interested in you telling how important bid management is.
Important.
Like, it is so important. No, they want you to show them why it's important for their role. And you can do that again by just sharing insights, sharing, and not asking for something, not asking to be recognized, but getting that recognition because consistently you're giving them the input that they are looking for. And I truly believe this: you as a proposal and bid manager are sitting on a wealth of goldmine of information, more than anyone else. And I would make the suggestion to everybody listening to this podcast: just take a block of 2 hours somewhere next week and just go through information, go through your bid no bid decisions, to the feedback that you got from clients, the conversation you had with sales, and try to synthesize that. Maybe use a AI chat for it to get the insights out, and just share it and see like, hey, I will be sending these updates every month now. And I'll promise you that they will see bid management differently after doing it 4 or 6 times.
Yeah, make yourself visible in the best way, in a helpful way. I like that. Is there like specific data points that you see coming up over and over again that revenue leaders want to see but maybe aren't seeing? Because the reason why I ask is a lot of times proposal people will think of certain KPIs like shortlist rate or win rate, but I don't know if revenue leaders really care about those things. Like, what should they be bringing up?
I think in the end, they care about top line growth. I think that's also a bit of a challenge, right? Because if you are reporting into a revenue leader that is only thinking about, okay, we want to get more, not all revenue is made equal, right? There is like some is really hard. It's not business that you will retain. There's a lot of risks in it. So if you truly have a good revenue leader there, they care about what kind of revenue you bring in. And also there you can really make a difference. But in the end, they're probably mostly interested in growth. So doing more bids, winning more bids. That is either by optimizing for efficiency. I'm able to do more bids with the same amount of people.
Yeah.
Or and that's kind of depending on, you can look at your win rate, you can look at your competitive playing field. Either there is a lot of opportunities out there and you just need to be able to take on more because that will create more growth, or you're in a really competitive field, your win rates are at a certain level, either really high or really low. Then it's more about picking the right opportunities that you can win. And hopefully, if you have the right leader, also those that bring in the right revenue.
Do you see other people that they should be talking to other than just like the revenue leaders, like in terms of the data that they can see? Like, because you're talking about, of course, like growth numbers, like revenue, profit, what, like cool logos that are brought in, right? But like, should they be talking with product? Should they be talking with finance or anything like that?
So for me, these are the like in the SME pool, right? Those experts that you need to win, which I also think you can bring back some relevance for I think it will help you do your job more effectively and easily to have a good connection with these colleagues. But for recognition, it kind of depends on the recognition or the position that you're looking for. But there's also a lot of product managers, like they are also looking at how can I do my job better, and that stems from the feedback from the market. And the most feedback you're getting is when you send out a proposal and you either win or lose the deal.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is because I just feel like a lot of proposal people, like they're getting thousands of questions from customers, like both. If you're in software, like you're going to get security questionnaires. Mm-hmm. If you're in engineering, you're going to get spec questions all the time. And if you're constantly no bidding for like one thing, then it's probably worth bringing up to products. Or if your messaging keeps being off and like you keep getting feedback about it, that's worth like a conversation with marketing. Like I just feel like there's a lot of data there too that I think people would appreciate getting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think the risk in that is not a risk. It's more of a challenge. Is like, are they going to, if I would put myself in the shoes of a marketeer, it's like, am I going to trust their opinion? So I'd rather give them the data and not say the messaging is off, but like, hey, we're seeing this and this. How can we optimize this, right? So they can apply their expertise and you're the supplier of the insight or the data. And instead of saying, hey, I think we should do this, or I think we should do this, I think that's from the position that often teams are in, proposal on bid teams are in. It's you need a bit of a nuance to it. Yeah,
you don't want to go there and just say, hey, you're wrong.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we've been doing this wrong.
You're losing us money.
Yeah, but it can also be just in your monthly update to leadership, you can have a section on marketing. Hey, we got these insights. This really resonates well. Then on product, we're missing this and this. Out of the 10 bids that we did, a no bid on, 8 of those were asking for these 5 features or for these 5 compliance questions. Data.
Obviously, you have a lot of data, but there are a lot of other admin tasks that, of course, proposal people just have to do on a daily basis. Are there specific admin functions that they can hand over to AI so they can focus on the more strategic portions like the data?
I think for me, it's like 2 main things that you want to be doing with AI. That is structuring data. So finding the right data and the right repository, whether it's a tender pack, it's your SharePoint, it's your CRM, just finding that AI is really good at it. And it can also reconcile several data points like, oh, I'm reading something this here and this completely other repository, something completely different with the thing that I'm trying to solve, what make most sense. That is something that AI is really, really good at. And then secondly, it's enriching or filling. It's like, okay, now I need to fill this form or I need to answer a questionnaire. That is where AI is already really, really good at. I think where it's lacking often is more of this. We've seen a lot of like AI proposal writing, of course, popping up. And I think winning a proposal in the writing stage is not so much about putting this creative sauce over it. If you have a good bit writer, that's their bread and butter and they love doing this and you don't want to give it away to AI. What you can do with AI is, again, this structuring and enriching, right? It's like, what's the question behind the question? What is the promises that I have to make? What's the proof points that I can add to that? And if you kind of like build out this data table of how you're going to answer it, then you can either give it to an AI to make it into a nice story, or you'll polish it yourself. And with enriching, it is also, and there's something that I touched upon earlier as well, this collaboration with the subject matter experts. Can you make their life easier by handing the questions, the input that they need to give in such a way that's really easy for them to consume and to do their task?
Yeah.
Because they can find the right information easily, or because they really just like you with all of the insights that you're giving back to them.
Right, of course. And I know like I think it was in Dublin, in the APMP, BPC or whatever it's called, you talked about this as well. And I think there are a few people just like taking notes and literally recording you and talking about just kind of using agentic AI in proposals. Like, do you have like I guess some sort of point of view that you feel is different from others about agentic AI in proposals?
Yeah, so I think the shift is like in the whole AI space, we saw this shift of going into agents. And I think the biggest change there is that for a specific task, you need to launch a different program or a different AI tool, right? If I now, for example, I was just telling before we kicked off this conversation, I'm doing some house renovations, right? And I took a picture of my kitchen and I need to pick a color for my walls. And I was like, hey, what works well? And you saw that ChatGPT was calling a tool to analyze the picture that it was, so it can think in steps, and it can make different tool or function calls. And I think in the end, as a bid manager, you are stringing multiple admin tasks or multiple search tasks or input tasks together in your day-to-day. And now AI is just able to perform a more complex task. And that is only getting better. The AI is getting smarter. It can string more things together. It understands the context better. Like in the end, that is what makes us humans so special as a species, right? We have these social interactions, and we can have a lot of context in our brain, which allows us to do a task better, create more creatively, and with a better outcome. That is how agentic AI is mimicking better the human workforce.
Yeah, I have two questions. One, what color are you painting your kitchen?
It's gonna be like probably a more yellow undertone beige color.
Okay, not like McDonald's yellow. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay. No, very nice. But second question is so a lot of proposal folks, of course, they want to use AI to automate a lot of things, but a lot of the software out there doesn't do that. Like they'll want to go to like N8N or some like Lovable even to go build something out on their own. If they're allowed to with security, build something, because like a lot of tools out there on the market just can't do that or the way that they want to. So what questions would you suggest they ask when they're in demos with software to make sure that they're getting something that actually has good, AI workflows and agentic AI?
Yeah, I think the proof is in the pudding, right? Can you give them a document that they can show you that it works? And it's also, what is the workflows that you want to automate? Is it you want to have an initial analysis? Do you want to, what's the space? Are you doing a lot of questionnaires? Are you doing more of a complex storyline based proposals? There's a lot of in between that. And you can ask a lot of questions, but eventually you just want to experience it. But what I also think is really important is the space is still really early and things are progressing rapidly. Oftentimes you work together with a vendor for 1, 2, or 3 years in a contract. That's pretty standard. So it's also about, do you feel like the people behind the products are the ones that are continuously looking for the next thing, listening actively to what you want to make that product better? And I think 2026 will be the year I've, at least as a founder of a software company in the bid and proposal space, I've seen a lot of new players popping up. I also saw a lot of vendors stopping again. And I think 2026 is where it's more about the proof in the pudding, and still combined with, hey, what's that team that we're choosing to collaborate with is really important.
To make sure I understand, the two most important things are having trust that the company is going to keep up with all the innovations that are being made in the space. And the second is make sure you do some sort of like POC so you can actually test it.
Yeah, and it's making it as a demo is very often where you start with, and just making sure that it's ties to what problems you want to solve. The software is built for the masses. That's the only way how SaaS can exist, right? You cannot make tailor. So it's always generic in a way. So you want to say, okay, this is what I'm struggling with. I always get a lot of questionnaires. I want to autofill those. Well, there are softwares that are really good at that specific thing.
Yeah.
Go talk to those. If you want to have a more overall workflow automation, there are tools for that as well. You were talking about N8N, was kind of like you can automate everything with it, but then you probably need a dedicated person to manage and do those things.
Yeah, exactly.
You better pay a software company that is focused on the bit space, doing those more generalistic workflows.
So obviously, I work with a lot of construction companies, both in the UK and in the US, but their needs are really different from just about anybody else's in the proposal space. What do you think they need to be looking for in a software tool? Like, where do you see them? Because I have no doubt that you're going into these teams and you're talking to revenue leaders and proposal teams, and they probably already chose a tool before and it probably didn't go well, or they're not using anything and they're looking for a new one. Like, where do you see them messing up? Like, what do they need to be making sure that they're looking out for to find the right tool?
I think it's important that there are specific workflows that they have, going from I receive a RFP or tender to I can submit it. They have, oftentimes with these big construction players, they have mapped their processes. Can you basically mimic that map process well in a tool? Can that tool go in and it's like, okay, give me your processes and I will deliver a button for you that if you click that button, that entire process is being executed. And then you could probably go in again, N8N, and build that, but you want it grounded in examples of bid management. You want it to have an interface that allows for collaboration with subject matter experts. So I think construction especially is one of the more complex. There's also a lot of tools out there for the collaboration between contractors and subcontractors. So there's a lot of information. There's a lot of drawing software and stuff like that. So very complex processes. If you really want to have a tool that helps you in your bid process, you need to have one that is able to mimic those workflows really well.
We talked a lot about how proposal teams have a lot of data that can help, improve their win rates, make them be seen as strategic leaders within their company. But at the same time, like, Altura has a lot of data too. Like, you've spoken with so many teams, you've worked with so many teams about what works and what doesn't work. Is there some common theme, despite the geography, despite the industry, that you think really makes a team win more than another?
One thing I would say, and that is they are actively thinking about how can we be better. So how can we be better across people, across processes, across data, across tools, all of these like core pillars. We brought out a state of the bid management report the past few years. We're actually working now hard on the next one. And we often have teams evaluate themselves on these like core pillars.
Yep.
And you saw that the ones that were higher up in leveling were also the ones that were more able to progress the next year, because they were actively thinking about, okay, now I have this first process, I have it mapped out. Where are the things that I can fix? So they're taking steps, they're taking time. Another example is you have to always have this, if often teams evaluate the bid after. A good team will evaluate a win. A better team will also evaluate a loss. And the best teams will evaluate before they get the result back, after they get the result back, compare that with the bid no bid decision that they took earlier on. So how can we as a team improve? And asking yourself a question on a daily or weekly basis.
So basically, don't get comfy cozy with your process and what you do. Just keep getting better, keep thinking about how to be better, and look into the data, and also the whatever you're going to call it, because I know every team calls it something different, but yeah, your feedback calls, and then using improvement based on that. And that's
makes it also a lot more fun, I think, right? If you are, there's this I think my dad once told it like this guy was like fitting these light fixtures, the long tubey ones. I'm not sure what they call tailbuis in Dutch, but no idea.
I don't speak Dutch very well.
Anyway, so this guy was doing this job for like 30 years. So he got like a glass tube and it needed to fit the ends in it. And he's like, every day I go in and I have a timer next to my workstation and I see how many I can do in an hour. And it's like, and now I'm up after 32 years, I'm up to 9 an hour.
Yeah.
And he's like, and one day I will get to 10 an hour. You know, it's just every day he comes in, it's not the most fun job, right? To fit these things in on a light fixture, but he's like coming in every day, I'm doing it a little bit better. And I think that motivates you.
Crescent lights. But yeah, I agree. I think it is. And okay, but also I feel like that's always been important, but I think that's more important than ever before, just because it's not just like, oh, AI has changed. I mean, it has changed how we do things, but also like buying behavior has fundamentally changed. And I think every geography and every industry, I think you have to improve, or you're like, I know it's been overused, but like you're going to get left behind. And it's gonna be bad. Like, so I agree. But like, and then with that same data, you're probably seeing a lot of teams do things over and over again that are actually not helping them. Is there something that we can just stop doing as a proposal industry that isn't really helping?
Well, this has been said so many times before, so it's a bit of an open door. But I'll add something to it, which kind of like wraps up what we've been discussing in a nice way as well. It is what we should stop doing is going after bids that we know we will not win or that will not actually bring in the right business. And people know this. People don't want to go for bids that they won't be able to win. But the only reason why people keep doing it because they don't have the audience, they don't have the sway to convince others to trust their opinion and say, okay, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't go for it. And that is kind of like the result if you are able to reposition yourself in the organization. If you've sent out a very interesting newsletter to your revenue leader over a few months and he got value from it, if you're able to share insights to colleagues, people trust your opinion more and they'll say, hey, actually, you're right. We should not go for this bid. Let's go for another one. You tell us, where should we go for and why?
So start a newsletter.
Start a newsletter, yeah.
I think that's useful in so many ways. But yeah, I'm with you. And I know that you said it's been said enough, but literally this morning I was on a roundtable where that was like the biggest discussion point, like in terms of how tough it is to be a bid leader with all this data that shows that you're going to lose, but a sales leader comes in and says, we're going to bid anyway. Yeah. And how tough that is, not just for the bid team, but for the legal, the finance, and whoever else you're working with.
It is because their voice is louder than theirs, right? So I think it's the newsletter idea I think is a good one. There's a lot of different ways to do it as well. And I think really if you take a few hours and people can reach out to me and I'll take out some time of my calendar to look at the data with them. You don't need to have it stored in the perfect way. You don't have to have some fancy analytics tools. If you have been collecting information, you can get some valuable insights to your peers and to your colleagues and to your leaders.
Yeah, it's amazing how being visible and just like having a short message with data attached makes you a thought leader within your organization. I agree. Like I've seen this happen time and time again with other people in different organizations.
And it will also excel you as a person, right? You will get promoted faster. You will get a raise. That's just how it works in business.
It is. Visibility is so important. And like if you're working in bids and proposals, you're probably already a great writer. Like you can already like lean on the skills that you have.
It reminds me of a friend of mine who actively asks for on like projects like, oh, can you give me feedback? How did you think I did it? And then when it was a really positive feedback, he would just forward it to his manager.
No, that's so smart.
Like, look, no shame. Just forward like, hey, this person thinks I'm doing a great job.
Yeah. No, you should do that. It seems like shameless self-promotion, which is hard for me to say, shameless self-promotion, but it's such a good idea. And it's good for your manager to have too. Your manager wants to see those things. So like, I know that we're doing something with Altura in London. We'll have an event that's an in-person event about doing automations and how easy they really are to set up within proposals. And you don't need to be an Altura customer. You just can work in bids, proposals, respond to RFPs, frameworks, whatever. So that's the 24th of March, but that'll be a fun thing. Come and join us if you're in London or by London. but where else can people find you? Where else can they learn more about Altura and all the knowledge that you guys have?
I'm very easy reachable via LinkedIn than I should be. So just message me there. If people want to spar about all of these things, I love talking to bid managers. I think I've spoke to more bid managers in my life than anyone probably. So I really like to spar about these things with them. I also will be there 24th where you can start mimicking those workflows with them. And maybe do some nice sparring as well.
Yeah, very, very nice. And do you guys have like a blog? Do you have like, where can people learn? Because I know you guys put out a lot of learning content too.
Yeah, so our main channel is LinkedIn. We do have a blog on our website. All of the content on our website is also distributed via LinkedIn. Give us a follow. That's also where all the events will be published. We do quite a lot of events every month. We do one. Online, offline, yeah.
I'll put URLs, all those things in the show notes. So go and click on them. Go find Altura and join us in London. Yeah.
See you then.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.